Good evening and warm welcome to Power News, your window to the power sector. I'm Juhi Rajput. With bleak chances of Parliament giving its nod for setting up a coal regulator, the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs approved setting up of the regulator through an executive order that would have only recommendatory powers. Under this arrangement, the regulator will be empowered to specify the principles and methodology for determination of price of raw coal and washed coal and any other byproduct generated during washing. The regulator will also regulate methods for testing for declaration of grades or quality of coal, specify procedure for automatic coal sampling, and adjudicate upon disputes between the parties besides monitoring, closure of mines, and approval of mining plans, among other things. The Cabinet has approved the creation of the coal regulator through an executive order instead of getting the bill passed through the Parliament. But the proposed regulator seems weaker, as it has been conceived as a toothless one, with only recommendatory powers, unlike the stock market regulator or the electricity regulators that have a lot more powers. SEBI can levy fines on market players, even ban them. State electricity regulatory commissions decide on tariff hikes or cuts in the electricity sector. But were even these powers to be given to the regulator, it would still be ineffective. And the reason for this is the monopoly producer status of Coal India Limited.
When Coal India is the only single monopoly in the system and unable to meet the targets, there have been issues since past, either with NTPC or with the IPPs. There are a lot of differences on the quality of the fuel, quantity of the fuel. If the regulator doesn't have the jurisdiction to go into these details for setting up the prices based on the calorific value or the quantity supplied, I don't think so it will go in for long, because there will be n number of disputes between the generators and the coal supplier, and if the regulatory agency is just a toothless, then it becomes a paper tiger, then the result is not that effective. We should have a regulator who is well poised to set the things in order and usher in the better reforms for the development of energy sector.
Despite the country sitting on reserves of about 286 million tons, domestic production has failed to keep pace with the demand from utilities, leading to chronic power shortages that have had a crippling effect on economic growth.
Transportation logistics are one of the main constraints in enhancing the coal supply, like the North Kanpura coal fields in CCL, this Talcher coal fields in Vasundhara, MCL, then Sraya, they have got a total production potential of around 300 million ton per annum. But there is no transport logistics. There are no railways lines to really evacuate the coal. And this is all bottling up the coal production as well. It's not only there may be certain issues with the companies themselves also. But if you can create effective transportation logistics, this coal production can be very well enhanced.
If government is serious about the coal regulator, it needs to first break up Coal India's monopoly and bring in other players, preferably from the private sector. And if it is not able to do that, it needs to consider empowering the coal regulator.
Coal India is meeting almost 90% of the coal requirement in the country, and they are the more or less solo player. So certainly more and more players are required to come into the field, whether the private players as well as more public sector companies. Yes, I think this is very, very essential. Like in the electricity sector, when the private players came, you can see the electricity generation capacity, which was just around 63,000 megawatt in the year 2003. Now it's almost 140,000 megawatt in just 10 years span. So you can just see how the electricity generation increased.
Here we'll take a short break, but there's a lot more on the other side. Stay tuned.
Indian Energy Exchange, India's premier power trading platform.
From manufacturing of energy cables to EHV installations to renewable energy solutions to retail retail energy products. Our technology energizes lives. Ravi, energizing lives.
Power Grid Corporation of India, the central transmission utility, world-class integrated global transmission company with dominant leadership in emerging power market, ensuring reliability, safety and economy. Power Grid, building a smarter grid.
Welcome back. Delhiites will have to pay their full unsubsidized electricity bill from April. Subsidy for consumption up to 400 units announced by the Sheila Dikshit government and later increased by the Arvind Kejriwal government will cease in the new financial year, as there is no provision for it in the interim budget for 2014-15 approved by Parliament last week. On December 31, 2013, Kejriwal had slashed electricity rates by 50% for consumption up to 400 units. The Congress government had also been subsidizing the first two slabs of 0 to 200 units and 201 to 400 units. The Delhi cabinet had approved the subsidy for the January-March quarter, and it was to be reviewed as the government had ordered a CAG audit of power companies.
We believe subsidy per se is a regressive step. It shouldn't have been there in the first place. Having been in place, it was only for people consuming under 400 units. So all those beyond 400 units were actually paying more than what they were paying in the earlier government. So, and if the provision wasn't made, now every day's delay is going to cost Delhi dear. Why so? The fact is, had they been in power, they could have reined in the power distribution companies. The CAG audit could have taken off in a more robust way.
The state government had also prepared an estimate of Rs 669 crore for power subsidy in the April-September period, but sources said this did not figure in the vote on account approved by Parliament.
And you see, the Chief Minister, when he extended the subsidy, he would have ensured where to find the money for providing the subsidy. If he has provided subsidy for up to 31st March, he would have found the sources thereof. Regarding April onwards, it is still too premature to say where the money will come from and whether the subsidy will continue or not. As far as the consumers are concerned, they will go by what the bill they receive from the DISCOM, and they'll have to pay that.
Without any subsidy benefits, consumer will be paying full tariffs from April 1st. For the 0 to 200 unit slab, the rate is Rs 3.90 per unit. For 201 to 400 units, the tariff is Rs 5.80 per unit. Earlier, these were Rs 1.95 per unit for the first slab and Rs 2.95 per unit for the second slab with the ARP subsidy. For consumption over 400 units, rates remain same at Rs 6.80 per unit till 800 units.
Congress government announced a subsidy for up to 400 units, and Aam Aadmi Party government has further reduced the rates by half. Now, since in the new budget, interim budget, there is no provision for the subsidy, that's why the power rates will go up from 1st of April. Obviously, everybody wants anything as cheap as possible. So nobody likes it, but I believe it's a matter of time. Once the new government comes in, this subsidy will again kick in. And I also believe, I think some amount of subsidy for maybe, let's say, 200 units or so is important, because there are a lot of people who cannot afford the expensive power. So there may be, it may be a good idea to have a subsidy for up to say 200 units, and after which the market price may prevail.
The Delhi High Court stayed the AAP government's February 12th decision to give a 50% waiver on pending electricity bills of 24,036 consumers. In its affidavit, the government informed the High Court that comments were sought from the legal, finance and planning departments on the proposed waiver, as well as withdrawal of the theft cases against defaulters. The Law Department has said that such a waiver can only be given prospectively and not retrospectively as per the Statute Electricity Act 2003. The Planning Department had said the proposed exemption was not appropriate as it will be tantamount to rewarding defaulters at the cost of honest and regular paying consumers. The Finance Department too had objected, saying it will give an advantage to the defaulters and disadvantage to the honest payers and thus create a bad precedent.
The court's verdict and the stand is correct. As far as the waiver to 24,000 and odd consumers who did not pay the bill, stands this non-payment is something which is not provided in the Act. As per the Act and the regulations, the bill has to be provided and all those who have not provided are defaulters.
The Delhi Cabinet had approved the proposal to provide 50% relief on pending arrears to the tune of Rs 6,821 crore and to direct the Finance Department to allocate funds as well as inform Delhi Electricity Regulatory Commission of the decision. These consumers had stopped paying their bills during the Aam Aadmi Party's Bijli Satyagrah.
See, power theft is theft. Anyone who gets into it should have, will have to suffer. Unfortunately, the person who listened to people to have their not to pay will be suffering rather than those who instigated those people not to pay up.
Shortly after its formation, the Aam Aadmi Party launched Bijli Satyagrah, alleging that power bills in the capital are inflated. As part of the campaign, Kejriwal urged people to stop paying their power bills. About 24,036 consumers stopped paying their bills reportedly from October 2012 to December 2013. The authorities disconnected 2,508 electricity meters, but these people reconnected their lines and were using electricity without paying.
If once the electricity has been disconnected by the DISCOM, the consumer is required to take resort to the various remedies provided under the regulation. If the consumer did not resort to those remedies and connected the connection himself or through an unauthorized person other than the DISCOM, then it amounts to the misuse or theft as per the Act, because nobody has the authority other than the DISCOM to disconnect or reconnect the electricity connection.
It's time for another short break. Keep watching Power News.
Indian Energy Exchange, India's premier power trading platform.
Jal, jal, jal.
जल से जल तक, मेगावाटर्स से मेगावाट्स तक, SJVN Limited.
Power Finance Corporation, the most preferred financial institution, providing affordable and competitive products and services with efficient and internationally integrated sourcing. PFC, partnering the reforms in the Indian power sector.
Welcome back. You're watching Power News. Decks have been cleared for unbundling of Jharkhand State Electricity Board after the Supreme Court of India disposed all petitions filed before it challenging the unbundling. Following the decision, State Energy Department is gearing up to carry out the unbundling within a couple of months. State government has planned to unbundle it into 4 separate companies, which includes a holding company in addition to supervise the functioning of 3 utilities. To talk on this, we have with us Mr. S.N. Verma, CMD Jharkhand Urja Vikas Nigam. Good evening, Mr. Verma, and welcome to Power News. After unbundling, JSEB would now have separate entities for power generation, transmission and distribution. What difference is it going to bring at operational level?
When you see they are starting with zero liability, so the company is free to expand, free to develop, and the legacy of the State Electricity Board is not there. In that scenario, you will find that the core group of transmission, core group of distribution will function more independently, and they will like to function as such that they will bring the benefit out of it.
Mr. Verma, AT&C losses in Jharkhand are still in the range of 50 to 60% and state lacks efficient distribution network. What would be your plan of action and priorities for minimizing this loss and creating a robust distribution system?
You see, purely in the distribution, well, the losses are much higher if you compare with many other states. But it is now in control, and I believe last 1 year, there is a tremendous development in this part that AT&C loss has gone down because you see the realization is more, the recovery of money for the electricity bills we are getting in the higher side now. You see, in the distribution sector we have already planned, and the budget of only for the Ranchi and the capital is around 400 crores, and where we are improving the distribution system by improving the network. And network, I mean all the substation which is to be improved, strengthened, and accordingly the transformer ratios have to be improved, 5 MVA to 10 MVA, 10 MVA to 20 MVA. And then, because you see, I always say that the power load is a dynamic load. Every day it increases, and you have to control it for future. You have to plan it for future. So you have to strengthen those systems like the conductors. All the conductors are being changed for the higher rating conductors. Cabling is to be done, and you must be knowing, because RAP-DRP Part B of the central government scheme, where we are doing all these for the 30 towns in Jharkhand, where we will be improving around 1800 crores we are investing in that.
Jharkhand also lacks in transmission capacity and hence sometimes surrender power of its quota due to transmission unavailability. What would be your strategy for creating sufficient transmission network for evacuating power from upcoming projects in Jharkhand and reaching to remote areas which still do not have access to electricity?
You see, for all transmission sector in the Jharkhand, we are lacking behind, so that the far-flung area is still not connected with the Jharkhand. And for those purpose, we need bigger grids. We have already planned it, and I believe for last 1 year, we have already allotted this job to Power Grid for around 1800 crores. And they are creating 10 bigger grids in Jharkhand in the different areas, and at the same time the associated line for 400 kV and 220 kV. Those networks would be completed in Jharkhand around next 1 year. I believe by 2015 you will find that all the network are being connected, so all through the Jharkhand, and the transmission will not be any constraint.
There are several villages in this state which are not electrified and has been left under RGGVY scheme. Now, JUVN is responsible to electrify these villages. By when would these villages be electrified according to you?
We have 29,000 villages. I give you a data where you will find that how much we have penetrated within the village side. It is 29,000 villages. We have electrified 27,000 villages. So only 2,000 villages are left. Well, it's a big in number. Still, I say that we are advancing in that direction. The rural electrification work is going on. 1 or 2 farms where the many cases were there. You know that in Jharkhand it is Naxalite prone area, that is Palamu region, Garhwa region, where we are not able to be that successful to penetrate inside the village for such electrification. But we are doing the job. The mandate is there. The district administration is cooperating us, and the work has started again. And I believe coming 6 months, you will find that we will be completing the target, and whatever has been given for the 12th scheme also from the Government of India scheme, will be very soon we will be completing that also. And the electrification in the villages for having such load so that the villagers should get power, that to 24 hours, is in progress, and you will find the result.
Mr. Verma, Jharkhand has also formulated distribution franchisee model for both urban and rural areas. How has been the results, and what are your plans for promoting private investment in power distribution sector?
that we have opted for rural franchisee also, and we are highly successful. That report I have already submitted to the Government of India also in the Ministry of Power. We have divided 46 blocks for rural franchisee, the whole of the Jharkhand, and already 30 has already been allotted through tender. And if I tell you the result, earlier in the sector of around 20 to 25 villages or 30 villages in one cluster, where the realization of money was 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs, 5 lakhs or 7 lakhs a month, has gone 35 lakhs, 40 lakhs and even 63 lakhs at many places. Now you come to the urban franchisee, we have given Ranchi, Jamshedpur, 2 urban franchisee to CESC and Tata Power. They have yet to start that job. The survey has already been completed, and I believe within 2-3 months they will be on the job, and where we can improve further realization and further recovery of the revenue in this area, which will definitely bring our organization to the forefront.
On capacity addition front, which are the upcoming projects in state power sector by state GENCOs?
Last 13 years, that is the age of the Jharkhand now, we have not added a single megawatt. But now, past is past. We have already gone for 3 projects, all supercritical of 1320 megawatt, 616 to 2, one at Patratu, which is at RFQ stage now. I believe in March, that will be the first week of March, the RFP stage will start. And second power project at Bhavnathpur. Second power project at Bhavnathpur, you see 1320 megawatt, where we again going for the supercritical. And the third project, that is in TVNL area, that is Tenughat Vidut Nigam, where we have got the coal block. All the 3 power projects which has been invested, the coal block is there, the land is also there, and now the water has already been tied up. So we are advancing in that direction, and very soon you will find that those power projects are under construction stage.
In the past, it has been observed that several projects got delayed due to some or other reason. What proactive measures are being taken by State Energy Department so that projects are completed as per the schedule?
For the supercritical, I believe we have been taking care that the projects should start in such an area where the land disputes are not there. We have started in Patratu, where we have already having our own land, that is 1200 acre is available for the new project. When you go to the Bhavnathpur, we have taken land from sale, because they have 4500 acres there, and for quarry purpose they don't need that much of land, so they have surrendered those lands for the power projects. So there also the land dispute is not there. Now water availability has already been taken care of, coal block is available and attached with that. So I don't think any such hurdle is coming in future in the way. However, this is also a fact that many of the areas in Jharkhand is infested with insurgency, Naxalite prone, and that creates hindrance when you go for such a longer project, that too in the forest area. But we feel confident that having all units within us, we will be able to contain that also, and that too with the help of the district administration.
As many projects are getting commissioned by state, central and independent power producers, when do you see Jharkhand becoming a power sufficient state?
IPPs are also coming, where one of the company like Adhunik has already generating 540 megawatt now. Avijit, SR, Capital, they are also they are doing very fast. I believe within 6 months or a year, they will be also generating power in Jharkhand. So it is very much in, we can very well conceive that Jharkhand would be surplus by 2015 in the power front, and we will be able to even trade in that area.
Thanks, Mr. Verma, for joining us in Power News. With this, we come to an end of this episode of Power News. Keep sending us your suggestions and views at info@indianpowernews.com or call us on 011-405-60701. I'll be back next week with more news and updates. Till then, goodbye and take care.